I just think everything in my life has happened for a reason. And because so many extreme things have happened, like losing my leg, and I've nearly died of Lyme's disease, my appendix has exploded, my gallbladder was ripped out, my lung was punctured, my pelvis was crushed over different times in my life. Somehow, I'm that cat with nine lives. Just keep going. I think probably the fact that my mum lost her leg at the same age as me in a road traffic accident. I believe everything in life happens for a reason. They reattached her leg, but sadly she died many years later when she was 47. So more than most people, when I actually lost my leg, I thought, actually, it's just a leg. I need to get on with it. And far worse things had happened in my life. I came from a very dysfunctional childhood. My mum left when I was 9 because my father was really abusive. And then my dad went to prison. And then I was homeless on the streets in London. And then, I ended up getting a job. And the guy said, you can eat as many croissants as you like. So I did. And even though I was skinny, he didn't believe that I would eat as many as I did. So I got fired after a week. And then I basically ended up accidentally in modeling. Another long story. But it was when I was crossing the street in England. I'd come back from the war in the then Yugoslavia. I'd learned to ski. I'd gone with my husband at the time's ex-wife and kids, as you do. And I came back to England across the street. A police motorcycle chopped my leg off, crushed my pelvis, and punctured my lung. And I found that I was just lying in hospital, and I was a very average model, but you know how the tabloids are. They put model loses leg, top model, blah, blah, blah. And I wasn't. I was a businesswoman that traveled the world and used modeling to gain more access to different products to import to the UK. But I went with it and I thought, okay. They came to the hospital and said, we want this story, that story, thinking I was just going to be what they perceived as the dumb blonde. Mine's out of a bottle, so they got it wrong. And I basically did an exclusive with every newspaper, um, a different part of my life. So I passed everything legally, raised a lot of money, and then went back to the war in the former Yugoslavia, to help change what was going on, which was many, many years of another story. I think because my mum, left when I was young, I had to just either go under or get on with it. I've met lots of people in my life that became drug addicts or alcoholics or got into all sorts of mischief. I stole a couple of things to survive when I was living on the streets of London, but eventually I got a job. And because my dad was a bit of a Wagnerian, intense dictator, he used to make us run to school every day, which was 5 miles there and 5 miles back. And then 3 days a week, stop off at the swimming pool to do 200 lengths every morning. And basically, I think it just focused me as much as I think it was too much for most kids. I think with what I'd been through, I could have ended up becoming really troubled. And I think paths come across in your life and you make a choice and you pay the price, good and bad, for the paths that you choose. So I just think everything in my life has happened for a reason. And because so many extreme things have happened, like losing my leg, and I've nearly died of Lyme's disease, my appendix has exploded, my gallbladder was ripped out, my lung was punctured, my pelvis was crushed over different times in my life. Somehow, I'm that cat with nine lives. Just keep going. So I think that knocked any fear out of my life. And I think that's what makes my mind clear to absolutely believe there is a solution for everything. The biggest thing and the biggest challenge is to get everyone else's foggy brain out of concerning and worrying and thinking about what other people think and just wasting so much energy rather than just seeing what the solution to the problem is. And I just see it so clearly in any area. I don't know why, but I just do. I accidentally got involved in skiing because I was having a big fight with the media, and I was investigating the newspapers for their phone hacking, which most people didn't know about. So while I was doing that, they were trying to destroy me. So I went off to the mountains and accidentally became a ski racer at the age of 42. The British team wouldn't take me on. They said, "You're too old." Well, that just made me more determined. So I got a wild card, went to New Zealand, won the silver slalom, and then suddenly they wanted me on the team. The problem was there weren't any good ski legs, so I developed a ski leg eventually because the legs that were made at the time kept ripping all the skin off the end of your stump, and then it would bleed and blister, and you're putting a lot of pressure on the leg at the speed of, I've got the world record 166 kilometers, so it's fast and it's a lot of pressure on a little stump on the end of a leg. So I'd often end up having to sew up my wounds, and disinfect things so that I wasn't going into hospitals all the time getting infections, because that's where most of them sit. So I think the biggest challenge was, first of all, convincing people that even though I was 42, it's about a mindset, lack of fear, a little bit stupidity, and just believing that I could achieve it, absolute believing, and the physical problems that came with so much intense training and ripping the skin off my stump all the time, and with my crushed pelvis and things that I'd had before in my previous accident when I crossed the street. I would say absolute focus and determination, and just putting out all the noise. I remember I used to start at the beginning of the race, and I was always double the age of everybody there. And people laughed initially because skiing recreationally and skiing a race and going through gates and being early on your turn is like the difference between driving your car in the street and then suddenly being in Formula One. It's pretty intense. So what it taught me was to not think or get involved in the competition, to just be competitive with myself and totally focused. So I never looked up and the results or how anybody else was doing. I just said, right, I'm in this moment, and I would be in this bubble and I would just be absolutely focused. And I really wish a lot of coaches, because I've seen a lot of coaches make so many mistakes and not really guide their young skiers to stay out of reading anything, stay out of opinion, stay out of, and just get into what you're doing, and just be completely focused. And even though I was losing a lot at the beginning, I eventually caught up and got the 4 gold medals, and then still hold the world speed ski record, which was announced this year in the Guinness World of Records 2023, which was amazing. I hope after I've given a speech that people really believe they can achieve everything, but also that you don't have to compare yourself to anybody else, as the most important thing is health, because without it you can't have happiness, and then happiness and loved ones and family, because I've met a lot of very successful, very wealthy people who are very unhappy because they don't find that work-life balance. So I work 24/7, and then I go on holiday and my phone is off and nobody can contact me. It doesn't matter what the problem is, because there will always be a problem when you're the owner or boss at the top of a business. You have to be full on and full off. There's nothing in the middle. And you have to work out who you are. If you're not someone that wants to be full on and full off, which means you're 24/7 while you're at work, then be a 9 to 5 person and be proud of it, so that when you're at home, you're enjoying your family, you're enjoying the finite amount of seconds we've got left on this planet, and you are loving your life. Otherwise, get out and do something else.